I was going after the rank of staff sergeant.
Thoughts going into the board.
They're gonna ask me a whole bunch of questions. Hopefully I'm ready for it.
Is this your first board?
Nope, this is actually my second board that I've been to so far in my career. First one being the promotion board for sergeant.
Hardest question they asked you.
It wasn't really any hard questions that they asked me, but more so questions that they expected verbatim out of the regulation or the ADRP, which I knew the answers to, but instead of giving them, word verbatim, I spit out the answers in my own understanding, because I feel that as a leader and as an NCO, being able to spit out knowledge, but spit it out so in a manner where, you actually understand what you're researching and understand exactly what you're talking about. It just seems a lot more better and a lot more professional.
Easiest question they asked you.
What is the 8 troop leading procedures?
What are they?
Receive a mission, issue a warning, make a tentative plan, initiate movement, reconnoiter or reconnaissance, complete the plan, issue complete order, and supervise and refine.
What's something you messed up on?
One of the easiest questions that I messed up on was declination, land nav question.
Come on,
Instead of me,
you're supposed to know that.
Well, I do know it, but the way the first sergeant worded it, and probably a little bit of me not paying attention was, instead of me explaining what it was, I gave him the location of where you can find it.
What's something you messed up on?
Coming into the board.
Come in.
No. Oh, I thought you was asking what did I mess up on at the board. I didn't mess up on anything really, unless you want to count that when they were inspecting my uniform, and one of the first sergeants told me to lift up my pants leg just to see if I had on the correct socks. I lifted them up and then I just let them drop, not knowing that sometimes it can get caught on the sock. So when I executed a facing movement, my pants leg was still up. So I had to, shake my leg out a bit just to get it back to where it's supposed to be.
What helped calm your nerves?
Just going in there with confidence. Obviously you're not gonna know all the answers, well, let me take that back. Obviously you're not gonna know all the questions that they're gonna ask you at the board, which is what makes it more, what makes it so challenging, is because, it's to test your research ability, but easiest way to study and be able to answer any questions on the board is just whatever topics they're going to cover, just, research it, look into it, memorize the important stuff and then memorize some of the small stuff. And then what helps me the most, and that I think, most people would agree, is that instead of trying to memorize it, verbatim and word from word, memorize some of them verbatim and word for word, but for most of them, just go over it and review it multiple times until you can kind of form, your own answer when you ask yourself this question. So that way, not only do you understand it more, but you're a lot more professional and a lot more confident when you give your answers at the board. And the worst thing that can happen when you do it that way is they'll tell you, hey, you're not wrong, you're 100% correct. We were just looking for you to answer it this way. But, we can see that you clearly know it and you clearly understand what you're talking about. You got the gist of it.
Would you change anything? If so, what would you change?
I mean, honestly, there's nothing really that I would change. Yeah, there's nothing really I would change. I mean, I'm confident how I conduct myself when I'm at these promotion boards, and the confidence that I have, when I'm answering these questions.
What was the hardest part about putting the uniform together?
Wasn't really. There's nothing really hard about putting the uniform together, but the tricky part is, we always, as leaders, we always preach that when we put these uniforms together, have the correct measurements and the correct alignment. But depending on a soldier's, body composition and, the size of his uniform and how that uniform is made, sometimes even with the correct alignment and the correct measures, some of the awards and unit citations could appear off. So you just have to adjust fire on that.
What FM would you always remember?
Well, obviously FM 3-21.8.
What's that?
That is the Infantryman's Bible. If you're in 11 Bravo, you know. Or you should know.
What's next?
What do you mean, what's next?
What's next? I'm back and forth.
So since I, attended the promotion board, and thanks be to God, I got my, promotable status. The next step is just preparing for ALC. Now notice I said prepare for ALC, not try to get an ALC slot. The ALC slot will come. I want to prepare for it.
What did you do different from this board from the last?
Nothing really. Except maybe research and when I went to the promotion board to become a sergeant back when I was stationed in Hawaii, a lot of the answers that I gave at the board was verbatim. But it took me a long time to memorize those answers. And the only thing I did different for this board is not only memorize it verbatim, but also, rehearse on exactly how I was going to give my answer, and rehearse give my answers, and in my own, in my own understanding. So that way it's close to what's said in the regs, but also to show that I have an understanding of what I researched and what I studied.
Who did you tell first when you made it?
The first person I told when I was told by Sergeant Major or president of the board that I was promotable was my wife, which is the person who is getting these questions right now.
Did you have a thought that you had failed?
Nope. And the reason why is because, like I said, one of the things that they look at the board is not only your research ability and your ability to be able to, give some of the right answers, or at least be able to reference them, but also, your confidence. And when you go into a board with a negative mindset, or with the mindset that I'm going to fail, then you're not going to be as confident. You might, end up forgetting, simple answers to simple questions, and you're just not going to be confident. And chances are, when that happens, you're probably going to fail. Not saying that you will, but there's a good chance that you might.
Is unit support important in this?
Unit support? Oh, most definitely. Because even though I feel like being able to pass a promotional board is an individual achievement, you're able to set soldiers up for better success, when the unit supports them. And how units can support them is, make sure the uniform is squared away. Regardless if they're in NCO or not, and they know how to put together a uniform. doesn't hurt to have, another set of eyes to, look at it and make sure it's good. Mock boards, they also help as well. Being as hard as you can on those mock boards, and then, reviewing just on-spot questions in regards to what you're going to be asked at the promotion board. That's what I view as unit support, and it's very helpful. It helps a lot.
What's the next achievement you want in the Army?
My next achievement that I want in the Army is obviously to depend on the rank of staff sergeant, but my one major achievement that I hope I can make while I'm in the Army is to be a United States Army drill sergeant.
Was this one easier than the first?
Well, I wouldn't say any board is easy. It just depends on the person and their confidence level. But I would say that for me, this board was pretty much the same, if not just a little bit more challenging than the board I went to when I was going for my sergeant stripes.
Are you nervous?
Of course. It's normal to be nervous at the board. But like I said, one of the things they look for is your confidence. A person could be nervous and still have confidence. It's all about how you project himself. The presence that he gives.
Any words for people that's going to the board soon?
For all you soldiers who wants to go to the promotion board, or is about to go to the promotion board soon, or is thinking about going to the promotion board sometime in the near future, biggest advice I can give to you is, get with your local training room or S1, get a memorandum of instruction or a MOI. Look at the subjects that they cover, study on that as early as possible. The more time you have to study, the better you are. But also, what also helps is being able to retain information that you should know as a soldier. So simple Army knowledge, like anything that deals with your job, or anything that deals with AR 670-1 or stuff like that. Study, rehearse. Rehearse how you're going into the board. Rehearse, come up with hypothetical questions they can ask you. Rehearse how you're going to answer those. Just a lot of studying, researching, and rehearsing. It will set you up for success. And also invest in Quizlet on your phone, or you can go to your nearest clothing sales, and I'm sure they have the, board question book, and then just study some of the stuff on there, because I guarantee you that most of the stuff that's on your MOI is going to be in that little book. And have a partner to help you study and rehearse too, because not only does that set you up for success, that sets him up for success as well if he's going to the board or plans on going in the future.
I have a question. Any words for people that go to the board?
I'm sorry, ask me that question again.
Any word for the people that go to the board? They're giving you a question.
Oh, any questions? Any words for the members of the board? A few of those members on the boards, they were my first sergeants at one point. One of which is currently my first sergeant. Like I told them at the board, I appreciate their guidance, their mentorship. Them developed me into a much better leader. I learned a lot from them, and it's an honor, for me to appear in front of them at that board to show them that their time invested has not been in vain. It paid off.